Hello, today we're going to be taking you through a quick tutorial of how to create a scene and shot with ShotPro by Shot Professional, a new pre-viz app for the iPad. Here you can click the ground and click feet or meters to accurately block for your scene. Then we can go to our backdrop and the size and elevation left to get the elevation all the way down and the backdrop out of the way. Then we go over to props. I'm going to click through and want to build a basic robe because we're going to have a zombie scene here. By rotating it, the controls on the top are pretty simple. Just put your finger down and drag left to right on the button, and that'll adjust the object or character to exactly how you want it. We have a wide assortment of props ranging from streets to interiors to vehicles, as well as characters. But here what we're going to be doing is building a zombie scene like I had mentioned, and what's going to happen is we're going to just a basic scene, nothing more elaborate than one city block. And what we're going to do is have a building on the left, and we got the building exactly where we want to, so we're going to pull up another major building on the right. But now we're going to be plopping in some cars. This car, our idea is that we're going to have this car burning, so we need a distressed car, which will get out of the way. Next, we're going to plop in a truck, and the truck's going to be maybe a vehicle that we're taking away, or the character will be taking away after this scene is over. We're still building the scene, and obviously we have an idea for the story, but you guys don't, so you're just along for the ride. So again, this is a post-apocalyptic scene. Possibly zombies, the world's in complete chaos. We'll move from there. We want to build this scene out to be as clean and as detailed as possible so that in the future we don't have to come back and make more changes to our scene. We're going to go into our other category here and block off the street, just like a quarantine area would be. That's in our other category, and we'll go back down the street to start adding in a little bit more details, like some cones, as well as a bulletin board, which we're going to put on the other side of the fence. The people trapped inside the city will be able to come check that for notes and up-to-date information. So now we have the basic scene set up, and we're going to start bringing in our characters here shortly. I want to put in a light pole really quick because that bulletin board is important. It's going to be lit up shortly once we get into our lighting, but just to have that in the background and create depth to the scene. So now we're going to go into our characters. We're going to bring our army guy in. We need a character that has an HD in the upper right hand box. Those characters have facial expressions. They're high definition characters. Anybody else that does not have an HD does not have the ability to have facial expressions. However, they do have the ability to have all the animations, or they are rigged with all the animations that the HD characters are rigged with. And we're going to go over to the lens and change the lens to exactly what we want in terms of framing. Now, in the zoom button in the upper left corner, the number to the right is the number that is associated with the lens. So this is most closely referenced to either a 50mm lens or whatever you dial it into. That's based off of a full frame camera, and in future versions we possibly may have different sensor sizes. I'm going to get into some detail with the actual character himself, make the character frown. On the top left, we have our duration. You're able to slide the duration left or right, and that gives you the ability to change the length of the scene. The timeline below gives you that duration, which you see is 4 seconds. We're going to add in our first keyframe. The individual or object you want to keyframe has to be selected for the key commands to work. So we have our military individual, and we're going to have him be looking to the right, and then he will look over to the left. So we have our keyframe set to exactly where we want him, and as you can see, left to right works. we go down, and he's actually pacing in the stock animation that comes with every character. So we're going to find an animation here and tweak it to make him actually stand still so that he's just looking left to right, which is idle 2 for us. Okay, so we just need to delete that keyframe because we had a quick little issue there. We have to actually have his head looking one way, and then to make it look the other way requires us resetting the keyframe. So we have him looking one way, keyframe to the looking to the right, move the timeline, then we'll move the character to the left, and we'll add another keyframe, and there he goes, left or right to left. Okay, so now we have our zombie in the background. We're going to have our zombie crawling towards the main character. So we set him in the back and we click keyframe 1 and move to the time of the timeline that we want him to be up on the character. Add another time frame and look, voila. The character moves within that specific time range that you allowed. I'm going to change our depth of field on the actual camera to have the character in focus, and then we're going to do a shot with this a slider and a tilt at the same time, and then we're going to change the depth of field. So this is kind of a complex shot. It consists of a slider and a rack focus at the same time, as well as a tilt. So slider, tilt, rack focus. Very simple. You just have to, you don't have to go up and actually keyframe each individual aspect. They can all be done in one foul swoop. There we go. Left to right, just simply adding in a keyframe. We're going to move that duration out just a little bit because what we want to do is we want it to come out and pull focus on that character a little later in that scene. So we'll actually change the duration of this shot to 2.4 seconds. We don't want that keyframe to pop off of the end of the timeline, just to ensure that it actually happens during the set guaranteed time of 2.8 seconds. It happens right at the end, is when the scene ends. You can cycle very quickly through the objects by clicking the locator button. Okay, so we have our weapon. We've equipped the weapon in the arms of our army individual. And we're going to get that arm exactly where we want it. He looks like he's ready for battle. We want him to look like he's ready for battle, so we'll have the gun up in the air. And we'll do so by changing the way he's holding it with the right arm's customization tab. Now, if a green layer is over the X and the Y, over the head, the left arm, and the right arm, that means it's active and you've actually changed from the pre-animation that it is set at. If it is not, if there's not a green cast layer over it, that means that the arm or the head or the other arm is not moved. So the left arm right now is in the position that the animation he is rigged for stays in. Okay, so we got pretty close to the scene that we actually want. Okay, next we're going to go into lighting, and lighting is really where ShotPro by Shot Professional shines. We're going to change, like I said earlier, we want the bulletin board to illuminate. So we're going to take a spotlight, angle it down, change the spot focus so that it looks like it is still the street light at night, and we're going to bring it in a little bit closer to the billboard so that it shines on the object. Next, we're going to go into ambient lighting where we can change the weather if you wanted to, add smoke, change it from early in the morning, or excuse me, we can change the sun, which allows it to be early in the morning, or we can change it to the end of the day, or we can use a preset. We want black because it's going to be at night and you can start to see that the scene comes alive. Bring a little bit of darkness into there. I'm going to just put one overall light in the back here, a 360-degree light, which allows us to change the actual Kelvin of the light. Put another one in here just to add some scene dynamics. And bring the brightness down just a little bit. We want it to look a little bit grungy. Okay, we'll go over to our effects. We want that car to be on fire. Now finally the car's on fire. That really makes the scene look a little bit more hectic. You can see the ground behind the zombie in the viewfinder, the top right, is illuminating with the light itself, the light source of the fire. Now you may see the lights have yellow lines coming out the bottom of them, but those yellow lines will not show up in our shot, as you can see in the background. This is exactly where we want the shot to be. So we take it from the character, the main character, over to the zombie, and it focuses in on the zombie. Very simple to do. The most time that this really does take is just the time it takes to get as detailed as you want with the scene, or you can just make it very, very simple and you do not have to put as much detail in as you want. You can just use it as a basically a blueprint or a 3D image of what you want your set to look like. I'm going to put another zombie in here to add a little bit more dynamics to the scene. We're going to make the zombie be eating another individual. Make this zombie rotate him a little bit, and we're going to actually have him be eating an individual, a female character, maybe a civilian, and we're going to be putting her next to the zombie, and we're going to click the die animation. Once the die is complete, you can run the timeline. You can see her actually fall down and die. We'll head back up to the timeline, run it left to right. This is exactly how we want the scene to look. It's a quick load, 2.4 seconds, but like I said, once again, once we built this scene, the blocking and the camera movement is extremely simple. There's the scene. Multiple of those and you have yourself a movie. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you guys soon.